The most prestigious Czech and Slovak virtual racing series is back. 20 of the best drivers from Czechia and Slovakia. 12 races at some of the most famous circuits in the world. Who is going to become the new champion? This is the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2022 season. Hello and welcome back to the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2022 season. We're back on the other side of the Atlantic at Road America this time, and we're halfway through the single-seater races. My name is Justin Sutton, and joining me today, it is, of course, Chris Buxton.
We are back stateside for a doubleheader. We start the festivities today at Road America, a very bumpy but a wonderful circuit. And we are going to be treated to some incredible racing. Lucas Pichada with a comfortable lead up top ahead of the ever-charging Martin Stefanko. Will be going over championship connotations very shortly. Lucas Podstarter with a new lease of life hanging on there in third. And the tail end of the championship is hotter than ever. So many people so close to each other. The fighting is fast and furious. Cannot wait to see what we have lined up for this round and for the championship effect. Heading on to Long Beach next time out. And ERT, again, they're holding on to a very comfortable lead, but not unclimbable, with Anthropic, of course, having their driver lineup, has stalled their progress a little bit. But ESET are hot on their heels, with mainly through the efforts of Martin Stefanko.
As Chris mentioned, there is the possibility, actually, of Lucas Pichada winning the championship today, but it's not going to be easy for him. Let's put it that way. He's going to need to win and have Martin Stefanko finish in 15th or worse. Remember, 15th is the lowest points-paying position. You only get 1 point. Or if he wins and takes the fastest lap, Stefanko needs to finish 14th or worse, because you get an extra championship point for finishing in 14th positions. Again, it's going to be really difficult. Lucas would definitely need some luck on his side, or some bad luck on the side of Martin Stefanko, but he does have the possibility to win today. Today's track conditions: 23 degrees Celsius, 40 degrees track temperature. It is warm out there, not too windy though, Chris.
Ideal conditions. Oh, Podstarter! You can definitely tell he's got a new lease of life with Kadlacik alongside Lucas Pichada, Martin Siritek. Wow, Anthropic have done well. Lucas, again, right in that mixture in the top two rows. Then Studnicka and Lehman, row 3. Pilo and David Pichada, row 4. Where is Stefanko? 9th! Good lord! That's the worst qualifying he's had all season, I think. Then Kashka joining him along row 5. Then Maricek, Svoboda, Danda, Hermok. Heading down to row 8, then Schembera, Nadlik and Stepanovsky. 19 cars. We are missing one due to a last minute pullout of this round. But wow, Stefanko's got it all to do.
Really surprised to see Hermok outside the top 15 and Martin Nadlik way down in 18th position. But we're getting ready to go racing here at Road America. 19 cars. Here we go, the Mercedes-Benz single-seaters for the second half of this portion of the season at Road America, and the lights are out. It looks like a good start for Podstarter, a great start for Pichada, though. He's going to shoot up in a second. Oh, there's a huge incident in the background. That's a Navitel car and a Big Shock car. You can see the Big Shock just getting going. That's Maricek, Pavel Maricek, unfortunately, going to get caught up in that. But here we go, the fight up at the front, the Anthropic cars fighting with Lucas Pichada, who is, again, trying to take that second-place position. That Navitel car was Schembera. He's going to fall right down to way at the back, and we can see push-to-pass already being deployed by Podstarter defensively. David Pichada, Adam Pilo, lots of... oh, and Hermok is off as well. That looks like it's happened at the exit of turn 3. He's going to lose heaps of time. I think he's still going to be ahead of the two cars that had the incident earlier on in the race, and safety car is out, and look at that. Stefanko already up to 6th. Not a great qualifying for Martin Stefanko, but he's already making up positions.
Oh, Lucas Pichada had the start of dreams heading down towards turn 1, but couldn't quite overcome the equally well starting Caravaggio car of Podstarter. Yeah, I'm not surprised that we've got a few incidents. These cars don't do door banging. I mean, for one, there's no doors, but they don't do side impacts very well at all. Single-seaters don't by nature, and the start at Road America, yeah, well, actually the entire track of Road America is bumpy. So I'm not surprised we've had an issue. And that car is, well, I mean, Maracek is... That's probably as much as he can do right now. He can't do any faster than that because the nose is trying to tuck underneath the car. The front wheels can't decide what direction they want to go in. So that thing is going to be like a boat to try and steer at the moment. And along with Hermok in the Caravaggio car ahead of him, also not quite pointing in the right direction. So safety car does give a bit of a breather to those that have had a bit of a trouble to their day here in Road America. But that's going to agitate the rhythm that you want to get into early on. Oh, and one of the Benzina Orlan cars, the rear wing's coming off. That's Danda, yeah. Anish Danda's not come away with unscathed either. So I wonder if that was what was involved with Peter Hermok's issue. I mean, we don't know. We didn't see that particular incident happen. There's Stefanko. He's gained 3 already, as you said, Justin. And he's on the harder tyre as well. That is a superb start for the number 98 car. But now these safety cars do tend to last a little while. Road America is not a particularly big lap, so hopefully it's not going to last too long. But yeah, if I was out there, I would hate this particular period at the moment. Of course, safety car is there to make sure all the debris gets cleared out of the way, so no one clouts it on the way past, and those that need to go into the pit lane can do so in a safe and controlled manner. Let's have a look at Pavel Maracek. So, no, he started well, but his teammate didn't. So then, so that was completely on his own. And then he started, as he span, he caught the Navitel car. Oh dear. So it was wheel spin on wheel spin that caused that incident to start with.
Yeah, that's going to be frustrating as well, too, because I'm sure he's going to be thinking, if not for that stationary car ahead of me, I probably wouldn't have had that problem. So, but it's really, it's just one of those things that happens. So he's got to get on with it. He's not out of this race just yet. There's plenty of opportunities to pick up some points. And Maracek was only in 13th position, so yes, he's lost spots, but at the moment he's only losing out on 4 championship points. So and lots of time to get back into those points paying positions for him. So, but yeah, as you pointed out, Alish Danda, I was watching that rear wing flop around, but yeah, I have no idea where that came from because I don't think that must have been a separate incident. I assume somebody drove into the back of him. But I also assume that the pit lane is not fully open yet, and Shambera must have gotten towed back to the pits because Shambera is in the pits, but nobody else has gone in just yet. So I don't think the pit lane is available to the drivers that are out there currently, the likes of Maracek and Alish Danda. But Shambera, I will imagine, would have gotten a tow after some pretty significant damage. He was the Navitel car that got caught up in that incident with Pavel Maracek at the beginning. And certainly, just for Alish Danda, just to touch on that, that rear wing damage is going to be more difficult to repair compared to a front wing. Certainly, I would imagine anyway. Typically, that is the case. It's a bit more of a complicated and longer repair time. So that's not going to be ideal for Alish Danda, but hopefully, lots of laps, lots of racing still to go. But yeah, just touching back on that start, Kadlacek getting a little bit caught out there, maybe the inexperience showing. Here's the replay of what happened to Hermok. And I did say that this was at turn 3, and that is exactly what happened there. And it's just very, very light contact. But as you say, Chris, these cars really aren't designed for contact, are they?
No, but these issues have been coming around through too much right foot. There's too many horses trying to get through the rear wheels, and we know how much torque is in these cars, and that's always what catches the driver out. They don't have traction control. They don't have driver aids at all. So all the power is regulated by the right foot of the driver, and again, it is catching people out. So that is what's primarily caused the issues that we've seen. Yeah, Shambera must have been towed back, exactly as you say, because I can't imagine Maracek forgot that he needs to go into the pit lane with damage like that. We still haven't seen what's happened to Alish Danda yet, so we now know that Peter Hermok's incident was of his own making. Yeah, that rear wing, that's going to need more than tape. No amount of super glue is going to put that thing back on. Thomas Horror is in, so both of the big shot cars have had trouble. Or Thomas Horror is just getting his... no, he's lagged. Never mind. The iRacing assuming he'd gone into the pits. And now we're seeing... There we go. So now we're seeing people coming into the pit lane. So yeah, that's standard practice. The pit lane doesn't open immediately. Which is unfortunate. Even under safety car conditions, the pit lane doesn't open early. But there we go. There's our 3 wounded cars coming in. So hopefully we'll be back to green flag racing soon.
And Nadlick picking up a drive-through penalty as well. So actually, he's one of the cars. No, he's not one of the cars that's going through the pits at the moment. But he is going to have to go through the pits now. And I do wonder if maybe that has something to do with Alice Danda's damage. I wonder if those two things are potentially related. Certainly, it's not typical for Nadlick to be starting so far back. Yes, he's a bit of a GT3, a bit of a tin top specialist, you could say. But certainly, I think he's probably felt very out of place starting way back in 18th position. That's certainly not a typical place for Martin Nadlick to start. I would say at the very least he's kind of like a top 10 driver. So being way at the back may have just caught him off guard. Also, I just remembered I wanted to touch on something that you touched on, Chris. Those drivers that have started on the hard compound of tires, or those that are currently on the hard compound of tires, Stefanko's actually got Michael Lehman just ahead of him, also on the hard compound, as is the other Mecha All-for Sim car of Adam Pilo. And here's what happened with Martin Nadlick, and I do wonder if and there is Alice Danda. Oh, and he just shoots up the inside, and did he make a little bit of contact there with Peter Hermach? And then he goes up the inside potentially there. That's an interesting one. But Nadlick is picking up a penalty as a result of that one. He's going to be heading through the pits. Safety car is still out, but cars are starting to make their way out. Danda's out. Hermach is out. Marichek's still stationary in the pits, as is Shembera. I do wonder if Shembera's issue is terminal.
I wouldn't be surprised with the amount of damage that he would have taken from that instant. The safety car lights are extinguished, so next time the American Stallion makes his way past the pit lane, it will peel in, and then it'll be up to pod starter's right foot to signify the beginning of the race. He's got his usual sparring partner, Lucas Pachada, right behind him, and then it's Kadlicek, the lead of the 2 Entropic cars, in 3rd, ready to do battle. Stefanko looks on in 6th position, as we know, and there is it's repositioned. It's usually a bit higher than that. It's now staring straight up the snout of Lucas Pachada, but no less focused, no less determined. It's almost scary, the face that he puts on when he's when he's focused. But either it's doing him very well as he's leading the championship with a comparatively comfortable margin. So. Not insurmountable, as we know. I mean, yeah, it did make me laugh when the permutations came up and Stefanko has to finish 15th. The only time he's ever finished outside of the podium positions was Daytona, and even then he was 4th. He didn't finish in Spa, and he wasn't present at Monza, which is why his championship charge has very much halted. He's got 4 wins, and they were all consecutive wins as well. 3 in the GT3s and the opening round in single-seaters. So were it not for the troubles at Spa and the absence he had due to other commitments for the previous round, then he would be right up there. Not completely out of it, but he's got it all to do. He's going to need a bit. He's going to need a bit of luck on his side as well, because again, Lucas Pachada, his worst finish is 6th. And that was Austria, which was the penultimate GT3 round, and every other time has either been 1st or 2nd. So, yes, Stefanko's going to have to hope that the ERT Racing Ace comes into grief. And wow, he was looking on the inside of Pod Starter, but Pod Starter's like, no, you got to wait for me, and has absolutely nailed the start. Has the Cavago car. He's gone to the inside line. There's no way Lucas Pachada can attack him from that far back. And the Entropic pair are side by side with Michael Lehman. Oh no, Lehman's lost bodywork. So that got a little bit uncomfortable. And the Entropic pair are fighting. That's not going to help you, gentlemen.
Yeah, Entropic getting very close to one another. Siratek, as we know, is one of those drivers that likes to use his push to pass nice and early, but I do wonder if he's going to hold off in this instance since he's got his teammate right ahead. And in fact, it is the other Entropic car of Kadlacek who's deploying the push-to-pass on the run down towards turn 5. Down Moraine sweep into the heavy braking zone. No changes of position in the top 5 on this particular occasion. Stefanko still holding on to that 6th place position behind Lehman, but with Michael Lehman picking up that slight damage. Or did he? That may have just been like a lag moment where it looked like he had damage, because it looked like he had all of his front wing as he was going past through turn 7 there. It seemed to me that he still had all his front wing, but that's something we're definitely going to need to keep an eye on. At the moment, the gap between Lehman and Sirotech is pretty sizable. In fact, it's growing and growing. It's nearly 1.3. It's now over 1.3 seconds, and Stefanko is definitely going to see that as an opportunity to go on the offensive here. In fact, you can see that gap just up the road, and I believe that's David Pichata now going on the attack on Martin Stefanko into the braking zone. He's got the inside line, but I think Stefanko's going to be able to hold it around the outside, but no, David Pichata has done it. He's through on Martin Stefanko. David Pichata in the ERT racing car up to 6th position. Stefanko back down to 7th. Oh no! And Thomas Hora is off, and he's found the tire barrier, and that's some pretty significant damage.
Yeah, it was. He was helped. It did look like he was helped off as well, I think, by Studnicka in the Lenovo Legion car. As we now look at David Pichata, he's now thinking about a move on Michael Lehman, riding on board with the second of the ERT cars. He's utilising the softer tyres. That would have really helped him get past Stefanko. Stefanko's already lost half a second to David Pichata, but of course that pendulum will swing back in the ESET car's favour. Look at the gap between Lehman and Sirotech now. That is growing to quite a distance. Michael Lehman keeping David Pichata behind at the moment, having a look on the inside line coming down towards turn 5. Pichata can't do it. He's biding his time. He doesn't want to try and throw the car. Now, I'm not kidding, this circuit is bumpy. So you really do not want to be going offline as, you want to be doing that as little as possible. You want to be staying on the racing line where the track is going to be a little bit more to your favour. Even still, having a look on the inside line of turn 8, it's not a very big braking zone because it's not a big straight down between 7 and 8, or hurry downs as it's otherwise called. Now coming through the carousel. And Pichata's had a good exit. That's going to be primarily tyre difference, but no, the door was closed. Coming down towards the King now. It is flat out heading down towards turn 12. This is 11A. Why there's 11A, I have no idea. Otherwise known as Kettle Bottoms. Now into turn 12, Canada corner. And again, Pichata cannot find a way through. Stefanko looks on, waiting for an incident to happen. There is David Pichata in the camera there. And again, just having to bide his time. He would have compromised his exit speed from that final corner because of the angle he took. Now push to pass probably going on. Podstarter getting another fastest lap, still building that gap. Wow, push to pass going on for Michael Lehman, I'd have thought, with how much he was pulling away from David Pichata. They don't always appear on the tower, unfortunately, so we do have to try and guess what's going on. Adam Pilo is right there as well behind Monster Vega, not quite close enough to attack at the moment. And again, David Pichata going for a tighter line. He seems to be preferring getting to the apex a bit earlier, but that's compromising his exit speed. Martin Stefanko ready to attack in the ERT guide. Now, can he do anything about it? I would think he probably isn't going to. He knows he's got the tyre disadvantage at this point. But, we know how good Stefanko is, and his strategies have, by and large, really paid off. But that car's not too comfortable at the moment. He's not doing too badly on the harder tyres, but those tyres are not helping him at this stage. He's got to bide his time and be patient. That's what happened to Hora. Yeah, he was hit from behind, I think by Studnicka as well. So that was into the barriers and likely into the pits and out of the race.
You can see the fans are not pleased about that one bit, as Thomas Hora has to head off into the pits. And that's going to lose him lots and lots of time, drop him essentially right down to the back. But here we go with David Pichata once again. He's finally got a wheel alongside, but he does seem to have a little bit lower top speed, a little bit higher downforce potentially, compared to Michael Lehman, who just seems to have the top speed that he needs in order to defend from the ERT racing car behind him. And he's doing a fantastic job. Michael Lehman, a driver that we have, or at least I have certainly labeled as a bit of an aggressive driver, but not a dangerous driver by any stretch of the imagination. But he is going to make you work for that overtake. Michael Lehman does not care that you are on soft tires and he's on hard tires. He does not care that he's losing seconds to the top 4. He just wants to hold on to that top 5 position for as long as he possibly can. And again, David Pichota just having to hold station for the meantime. And I do wonder, actually, if maybe Martin Stefanko is actually perfectly happy with this current scenario, because again, Michael Lehman, a very difficult person to try to overtake, and David Pichota could create an opportunity for Stefanko, who is also on the hard compound of tires. So Stefanko may be perfectly happy with this situation and maybe hoping that these two actually, in fact, get quite entangled in one another, and then maybe Stefanko can find himself doing the double, especially as the harder compound of tires become the better race tire, because of course we are already approaching halfway point in this race. Now, a lot of that, of course, was behind the safety car, and time spent behind the safety car is time protecting the tires, whether it's soft or hard tires. So yeah, once again, Michael Lehman going defensive into turn 8, because again, just that the mechanical grip coming from those soft tires on David Pichota really paying dividends in the lower speed portions of the lap, sort of turns 5 through 11, this kind of area that we're in, and then now that we get into the high speed stuff, this is where Michael Lehman seems kind of untouchable.
Yeah, I think you're right with the setup difference. That can't just be push to pass every single lap, not unless Michael Lehman is burning through his push to pass like crazy. This would seem to be a setup difference. David Pichota has gone for a bit more wing, or it looks like considerably more wing on his car than Michael Lehman has, which I'm not a racing expert. That's why I go for the commentary box rather than the driver's seat, but that doesn't seem the right way of doing things here at Road America, as we see Adam Pilo under attack by Studnicka. But again, just the downforce difference, although Pilo was helped by the slipstream from Martin Stefanko, who's gone on the inside line. Nicely done by Stefanko. That's not an easy move to pull off. So Adam Pilo is giving a bit more of a headache to Stefanko, and they're on the same tyres as well. Wow, Adam Pilo in the Mecca for all for same car got a bit slidey coming out of turn 3. So, yeah, struggling for a bit of traction, but got it underway again. There's Pichota looking on the inside line, but can't get it done. Down into turn 5. Whoa, that's a big move from Studnicka in the Lenovo Legion car. It wasn't late, it was just a very big move. And again, you see Stefanko's car is really loose. So he's struggling on those hard tyres at the moment.
The reason he missed the last race, which we touched on briefly, that he had missed the race, and that was because of other commitments, as Chris mentioned, but it was because of other sim racing commitments with Williams, because of course Stefanko will race in absolutely anything. He'll do any series if he can get a wheel in there, he'll do it. So and maybe that time took away from his practice potentially, and maybe that's why he opted for the alternate strategy here today. Maybe just wasn't feeling super comfortable, didn't feel like he could keep up with the top. Well, I wasn't going to say top 4, but Sirotech is now starting to drop away. It really has become a 3-horse race up at the front. Podstata, Pichota, and Kadlacek, who's a rookie, if you can imagine that, for those that haven't been joining us for this season. But Kadlacek joining in middle part of the season, in fact, doing an incredible job. Great to see Mecca Alferson, by the way, having a fantastic season. They kind of remind me of the old Force India. You know, really pound for pound, one of the best teams on the grid. You know, maybe doesn't have the World Championship caliber drivers just yet. Give them some time. I'm sure they'll get there. But it's so great to see them up there and mixing it with the big dogs and having really solid races. 5th and 7th is an unbelievable result if it were to finish like this. And here we go. It might be improving even more as Adam Pilo does the double, shoots it up the inside, contact behind. That's going to send the ERT car into a bit of a mess, and Pilo gets contacted. He's going to lose out 5 positions as a result of that. Completely not his fault whatsoever. He cleanly made the overtake. Then there was contact behind. That pushed the ERT car of David Pichota into the grass. He couldn't stop in time. He came into contact with Pilo, pushed Pilo off the track, and he lost precious seconds, dropping him down to 10th position and only just ahead of Svoboda and Moritz as well, and Danda waiting in the wings as well too. So he's got to be really careful. He's still right behind Kashka and the Orland Benzina. He's still in that top 10. Plenty of time, more than half the race still remaining, in fact. So lots of opportunities still to come back from that. But that's really important. I'm really feeling for Adam Pilo on that one. I don't know whose fault that was exactly, but oh, here we go in the background. Now Stefanko's coming under attack once again with the inside line, and I think Stefanko holds on. He does just about hold on against Kashka there, but that was close.
Yeah, I actually put the blame on Michael Lehman for that one, as he came across too late to try and defend from David Pachada following through. Now, whether the Mecca Rawforcing boys were trying to swap round or Michael Lehman was trying to give Adam Pilo a bit of an advantage, because it did look like they were trying to block David Pachada in, and it was working. The pass almost worked, but as soon as Lehman came across and made contact with David Pachada was a complete passenger. He was on the grass and sideways. There was no way he could slow down before making contact with Adam Pilo. Such a great shame for them, but we'll see. I suspect that one will go before the stewards, and that's up to them to figure out any remedial action if they so choose to. Also, Suratec is closing in on this group of three. Now, they do keep arguing between themselves on who wants to lead. Lucas Pachada is still trying to get Podstarter out of the way. Podstarter feeling the need to defend as they're coming up towards turn 6. But it's not paying off at the moment. And, well, this is actually the other group. It's actually quite difficult to tell because there's so many battles and what have you going on. And look at that. Lehman is defending for all he's worth at the moment, just try and keep Pachada behind. Back up to the lead battle, and again Podstarter and Pachada, the Lucases, have both used push to pass to try and get away from each other, but Pachada's like, you've had me before doing this, I'm not letting you run off again. You got to remember, last time out of Monza, it was a great battle between the two Lucases, of which Podstarter was the victor. But this battle is so intense at the moment. As Stefanko again under pressure from Kashka, he's going to lose out this time. It looks like the Benzina Orna car still side by side with the ESEG car. And we'll catch up with it in a minute. And the race leader is in, so he's had enough of those soft tyres. But slightly further back, is anyone going to jump into the pits at the moment? That seems a little early. But again, Podstarter knows he's going on to the hard tyres. He can make them last to the end of the race. But look at this group. It's getting bigger all the time.
This is incredible. In fact, who is at the tail end of this? Is it Danda? It is Danda.
Danda, yeah.
So this is from Lehman down to Danda, this battle. 4th down to 12th, all within a single camera shot. I think as they pull off of 3 here. Well, we got a replay here. And this is what happened. And they're actually going to slow it down for us. You can see Michael Lee. Yeah, he's moving over to try and get into the slipstream, it looks like. But also, it looks like the 93 is also kind of losing the back end as well. It looks like he might have lost it under braking potentially, unless Michael Lehman touched his teammate, possibly. If he touched Pilo, that could have caused it. But it looked like Pilo's back end was already stepping out under braking there. So very, very difficult one there. But yes, no, I think you're right. I think Lehman definitely came across too aggressive while already in the braking zone of what is probably one of the heaviest braking zones on the course, second, third heaviest braking zone. So yeah, I think Lehman might pick up a penalty on that one. But again, we are not the stewards. We do not make these decisions. They've got access to all sorts of information and data that we don't have access to. We're just using some slow motion replays to get a vibe for it. But here we go. The other 2 leaders are into the pits now, so seemingly the soft tires lasting about half the race. So that would tell me though that just about everybody should be coming in pretty soon, because those on the hards should be able to go to the end on the softs. Maybe not after this lap, but after the following lap. So the pit window is very much open and going to be very active, I think, for a little while.
Oh, yes, but no one's told these guys that, as they're continuing to argue. That's Kashka having an argument with... I've forgotten who it is. He's having an argument... Oh, no, there's Danda. So who was Kashka? It was Pilo. It was Adam Pilo that Kashka was trying to get past. There is Lucas Podstarter. Where does he come back out? Is Pachada already out? Oh, no, there he is. I was about to say. Crikey, that shook up somewhat. So, no, they pretty much... if anything, Lucas Podstarter's got himself a length or 2, and that's about it. Oh no, as there's impact between Studnicka and David Pachada as the Lenovo Legion car has managed to get past the second of the ERT cars. I always say second, I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, but
no.
Lucas is generally the quicker Pachada, so I tend to refer to David as the second one, and usually he's behind his brother. So for that very reason, as we see now Adam Pilo having a look on the inside line coming through turn 6. I think these soft tyres are crying enough now, and the hard tyres are really into their prime. So now, again, look at the gap that David Pachada now faces as he's got Adam Pilo all over his diffuser. Has a look again now as they scream on through the corners along the back straight, and that's how much time that how much grip David Pachada no longer has around the outside. Goodness me, Martin Stefenko trying to make the move, cannot make it stick. I must imagine that David Pachada and Stednika as well have got to be coming in this time.
I think overtake of the race, at least so far for me, on that one. From I mean that I just really enjoyed that. That was a heck of an overtake. Really beautiful. The way that he went off the side, because you have that little kink that turns left, heading down towards Canada Corner. So really impressive driving there. Adam Pilo doing a fantastic job. And yes, I think there was, you're right, I think there was a bit of a tire deficit between the two of them, but still, he very nearly dipped a tire in the grass while going through that kink to get the inside line to make that overtake work. And I think it was expertly done on Adam Pilo's part. So definitely contender for overtake of the race, I would say. Here's Peter Hermach, who, again, we haven't really seen all that much because of that difficult start that he had at the beginning, which is really unfortunate, too, because Hermach has actually been, I think, one of the most consistent drivers that we've had over the course of this season. He's almost always sort of in the 5th to 10th kind of range, if I remember correctly. I don't have the results up in front of me. Oh, no!
Oh, no!
Oh, no! And that is really going to hurt Michael Lehman's race. He has clouded that concrete barrier with his rear right wheel, and yeah, you can see he is not happy. That was a sarcastic thumbs up if I've ever seen one. I didn't see, was there another car around him when that happened? I don't think there was.
No, that was his own mistake. Again, too much right foot there. He probably just been informed that he'd earned the drive-through penalty. I mean, he was quite clearly disagreeing. Well, it would seem that he was disagreeing with that particular judgment. I'm afraid I'm in disagreement with him on that one. I think that a penalty was due following that contact he had with David Pachada early on, as now the lead group are now coming in. Exactly as you said, most of them are coming in pretty much soon after when you said so on that one, Justin. But that's going to essentially, that could be 2 trips to the pits for Michael Lehman, one for the drive-through and one to fix any potential damage on the cars. We now ride on board with Lucas Pachada regaining that second spot behind Podstarter. So these guys resuming their battle from earlier on. Kavlicek, he's not far behind them either. The ERT Racing Ace is on the back of the soon-to-be dethroned champion. Again, not taken away from Lucas Podstarter. He did a storming job last season, but has not been able to recapture that the dominant way that he had last season. He's certainly shown a bit more fire and determination since his change to Cavago, so hopefully in seasons to come we see a bit more of that, as Pachada is really meaning business. He is getting already into striking range of Podstarter. Now, whether this is whether he's burning his tyres up too much, I doubt it. They're hard tyres. He can probably push them as hard as he likes at this stage. But Podstarter may just be trying to keep a bit more life in them for a counter-attack as we jump back. Speaking of David Pachada, he's involved in arguments once again. This time it is down in 9th position. That's Kashka. I think it's just gone past him. Stefenko right behind him. Now, Stefenko needs to be making his way further up through the field. He's still on hard tyres. So this would suggest they're going to come into the pits again after this.
Yeah, it seems a 2-stop is going to be on the cards, which, I mean, this wouldn't be the first time this season that we've seen a 2-stop, and I doubt it'll be the last time either, but
yeah, it's hot to remember. It is quite warm.
Yes, yeah, what was it, 40 degrees Celsius was the track temperature, so yeah, you could probably cook an egg out on that track, and Stefenko getting a really good run here down, it's not the back straight, but the back kink, you could say, but unfortunately he's not going to be moving fast enough to pull alongside. So he's going to have to hang tight for the meantime behind David Pachada. Just to touch on what you said before, Chris. Yeah, when we say, you know, the second ERT car and the second ESET car and stuff like that, we're just going based off of current championship standings. That's all. Yeah, I mean, that is very possible to change, you know, with the new season. And everything, so yeah, lots of potential. Oh, here we go. The leaders are going to be side by side. Putztada and Pichata inside line for the ERT car. Lucas Pichata is going to brake ever so slightly later as well. They're going to be side by side through the corner. He muscles him out at the exit ever so slightly. Kadlicek with a great front row seat of this battle as Putztada just has a little look-see there through turn 6, but ends up having to back out of it, loses a couple of tenths as a result of that, and puts Kadlicek all over the back of him as well. If he's not careful here, he's going to have to start defending rather than attacking, because Kadlicek has been waiting in the wings, and I haven't looked at the push to pass total. Hopefully we get that coming up pretty soon. I know the race direction team like to bring that up as we get closer to the end of the race. Oh, Stefanko, once again, this has been, I think, possibly the most exciting race for Martin Stefanko I think I've ever seen. I've never seen him have to defend and attack so much in a race as this one, so it really has been a treat in that regard. But yeah, really incredible stuff now that we're seeing up at the front. Kadlicek could potentially have more push to pass than the leading pair of Lucases, but you can see less than a second separating the top three as it stands right now. Here we go. Stefanko going to take another bite of the cherry, and this is going to give him the inside line as well too. If he can hang it around the outside of this little kink, does he have the overspeed? He's late enough on the brakes to get that inside line and to take that racing line at the exit as well. Expert overtake there from Martin Stefanko, showing exactly how it's done.
Yeah, absolutely he did. So starting to get a bit of pace now out of the ESET car, but you never see Stefanko that far down the field. It's so rare. But yeah, like you say, he's probably out of sorts because of his commitments to Williams and other racing issues that he's had to deal with. So Svoboda up into 6th. Now that is, of course, down to pit stop differences, but he has now got some company from Adam Pilo and Kashka right behind him. We're probably feeling quite uncomfortable with that. There's Anish Danda in the Orlina I did that every race. Orlen Benzina car. That's because Benzina and Orlen were the other way around last season. I got so used to that. As he's now in that 11th position spot. David Pichata right ahead. Stefanko now leading this small train as the Orlen car now having a look on the inside line. Can he get it done? It's not a very wide track when you're trying to make these moves, but he does manage to get past David Pichata and secures that 10th position. Nicely done. Oh, we don't often get to see Anish Danda in action, and there he is. Again, with that, he looks very tense from that particular shot. A lot of drivers sort of look kind of relaxed but focused. He looks a little bit tense there, but then I must say, I'm not surprised. I would be if racing in a field of this quality.
Yeah, exactly. Having done what he just did, overtaking David Pichata, certainly that would tense me up, and Lubomir Moritz as well. He's going to be feeling pretty tense as well as he looks to size up David Pichata, who continues to slip back. I wonder if David's picked up some sort of damage that maybe isn't obvious on the car. Because, yeah, the front wing, I think, looks okay. Yeah, he may have picked up some very slight damage that's difficult to pick up on. Oh, but look, behind him, somebody who I've admitted multiple times, one of my favorite new drivers of the season, Peter Hermach, getting himself back involved. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier on when he had that mistake. I said there's lots of racing still to go, lots of championship points for him to make up. I love seeing Peter Hermach fight back through the field. He now finds himself in a position where he could potentially take 12th, and Moritz and Danda and Stefanko, Kashka, Pilo, these are all cars that are actually within distance with 20 minutes of racing still to go, and only 5 and a bit seconds between Hermach and the top 10 or even top 7 and 6. Lots of positions still potentially for him to make up. Last lap, a 146.1 is 1.3 seconds quicker than David Pichata was able to manage. Of course, that was while he was getting overtaken, so that could have possibly played a factor in that. But I've mentioned it before. It's one of my favorite things to mention when I do commentary, in fact, though. But racing drivers are like sharks, and when they smell blood in the water, they attack. And Hermach has watched David Pichata slip down to 12th, and he's thinking in his mind, well, get ready to slip down to 13th.
Yeah, very true. The newcomer is really ready to put the pressure on. Slightly further out of the field, there's Kadlicek, the lead Entropic car. Oh, the irony here, we got Entropic which is now challenging Podstarter, the team that the champion left in the middle of the season, and now being challenged for their second position. So 0.8 of a second between the two Lucases now. Can Kadlec get involved? Well, I mean, he's been involved all along, but very much as a spectator leading up to this point. So we'll see if Kadlec is able to wrestle that second position away from the champion. Another three-way pack here. This is Svoboda, Pilo and Kashka, all for 7 positions. So, you know, decent run here for Martin Svoboda. Now, he is on the softer tyre. He's the only car on the soft tyres at this point in the race. But if you look back, that ESET car there is Stefenko. So is he the cork? Is Svoboda the cork in the bottle? I mean, we'll have to kind of wait and see on that one. Back up to the top 3, and Lucas Machada's lost a bit of the lead that he had, but not too much of it. Again, you know, braking zones will compress the field a little bit, and then they'll stretch out on the acceleration zones afterwards. But Podstarter's got to be looking in his mirrors constantly, and that's Svoboda being passed by Adam Pilo in the Mecha All4 Sim car down towards turn 5. That is 6th to the Mecha All4 Sim car.
Pilo's been one of the great overtakers of this race here at Road America for round 10 of the 2022 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP. Yeah, he's been one of the great overtakers as Adam Pilo, and it took him a little while to overtake Svoboda. Now, of course, there is a tire deficit. Svoboda is on that softer compound of tire, but still, the fact that, you know, he really made Pilo work for it, I think is really encouraging signs. Miroslav Svoboda doing a great job, a little bit out of position. He's maybe somebody that we typically see in the lower points paying positions, maybe just outside the top 10, but having a great race here today. I do expect he is going to be back into the pits at some point, but then again, we expect a lot of other drivers are going to be into the pits again as well too. So he's not going to be alone in that. There are going to be other people that need to have a visit to the pits, but Stefenko's now closed up to the back of this battle as well. So Stefenko is really going to be egging on Kashka here and really applying that pressure and trying to get him to make sure they get past Svoboda as quickly as possible, because certainly if Stefenko wants to try and pick up as many points as he can and keep this championship alive for as many rounds as he can, then this is a crucial moment in the championship for him right now.
Absolutely. So, I mean, Svoboda has been 6th. He's been as high as 6th in the first race, actually, of the single-seaters at Hockenheim. But he hasn't been able to repeat that pace. 15th, 10th and 17th have been the other results leading up to this point in the single-seater cars. There is Kadlec, again with that kind of odd offset look of his. Quite why he always looks out the side of his eyes. I always find that quite peculiar, but it's working for him. You can't say it's not, because he is hustling Podstarter. Also, I love the fact that Podstarter's background screen there, it matches the colour of the car. Yes. I think that's brilliant. Accidental or not, that is absolutely great as well. Side by side, that's Kashka and Svoboda arguing for what is 7th position now, and Stefenko, can he do it around the outside of the carousel? He doesn't want to lose the back of Kashka, and he does. What a move from Martin Stefenko. That's why he's been a champion in the past. That's why he's challenging for the championship this time around, because he can make moves like that stick. Although Svoboda is not prepared to just sit there. What a drive out of the carousel. What a move for the Puma driver.
Go on, Svoboda. That is incredible. You love to see it, because I really enjoyed that overtake from Stefenko. He's gunning for that overtake of the race from Adam Pilo that I mentioned. Oh, sorry to cut everything off that I'm talking about. Push to passes are on the left-hand side. Very briefly, they're already gone, but the main thing that I noticed from it is the top 5 are all at 0. No push to pass remaining for anybody up at the front, which I have to say is really, really surprising. Usually the top level drivers do a good job of kind of rationing off those push to passes. And that's Kadlec making I think that's the closest thing to a mistake I've seen Kadlec make since he joined VGP. But that was a very slow-moving Podstarter going into turn 6. I wonder if he got a slowdown warning, or maybe if he went wide at turn 5, or maybe he lost the back end at the exit of 5. I'm hoping we'll get some sort of replay of that, because we kind of caught the tail end of that overtake. But yeah, I think Kadlacek may have gotten an opportunistic overtake here, because yeah, look at that gap now between them and Pechada. It's now 1.5 seconds. So that tells me that Kadlacek didn't improve his speed. Podstata had something happen.
Yeah, 100%. He's in America, and he decided to have a yeehaw moment as he was coming through, wagging the tail on the exit of turn 5. But yeah, that at turn 6, beg your pardon, but that must have been a terrifying moment, because these things are not easy to catch. If you don't get the opposite lock in early enough, these things will bite. Yeah, they're very, very unforgiving. So yeah, a bit of a surprise. And Podstata's in.
That's early. Once again, early.
That's got to be damaged, surely, because that's the second time he's been in. I would have thought the hard tires would have lasted longer than that. Did he hit Kadlacek when he was coming out of turn 5?
Ooh, yeah, could have done potentially. Here comes Stefanko on Svoboda once again, and there are the two drivers down at the bottom of your screen. You can see Stefanko making some slight adjustments, interestingly, as he's on the straight. You can see Svoboda pulling away. I didn't see the push-to-pass deployment. I don't know if you caught that, Chris, but I didn't see any push-to-pass deployment on Svoboda's case there. So I think he may just be running a lower downforce setup. And actually, that may make sense. I feel like this isn't the first time that I've pointed out this season that Stefanko is running potentially a higher downforce than another driver. I seem to remember a race where I was talking about Stefanko having too much downforce compared to Lucas Pechada, where he couldn't overtake. I don't remember which round that was now, but yeah, I think Stefanko maybe not necessarily set up for straight line overtaking. And again, Svoboda's soft tires are working quite well for him in the low speed corners, giving him that mechanical grip that he needs to try and stay ahead of that ESET car. And he's only just doing it, but he is doing it. He is managing to hold on. He is managing to hang on to that 7th place position, but now it's starting to get a little bit more crowded behind him. It's not just Stefanko that's waiting to try and make an overtake.
And that would explain why Martin Stefanko was able to hang on around the outside of the carousel.
Yes.
And whereas Svoboda is able to just drop the hammer when he's on the straighter bits. And now Pechada and Kadlacek are in. So maybe that stop from
Podstata.
From Podstata earlier on was actually planned. If those tires have had enough, and it is very hot, as we said, that will burn through the tires. And there is Podstata, so he didn't hang around in the pits any longer than he needed to, so this would indicate that it was just a standard tyre stop, just earlier than I was expecting it to be. But this is now going to be crucial to who comes out in the lead. Was it the right time? Did Podstata lose too much? Kadlacek on the right, who was second at the point the pit stops began. David Pechada has now come out. Lucas Pechada.
Oh my God!
So he's come out. Look at the time that Podstata's lost as a result of whatever issue he was having. Whether he just burned the tyres down to nothing, whether he did actually hit Kadlacek, whatever it was, he's miles behind. Well, not miles behind, but he's a noticeable distance behind Pechada. But interestingly, ahead of Kadlacek.
Yeah, well, it's miles by VGP standards, at least by 2022 season standards, because, yeah, this season's been incredible. Oh, my gosh, Lucas Pechada having to go around the outside of Stepanovsky, who I think has only done the one pit stop so far, so might be a little bit out of position at the moment. He's got the other Pechada brother of David right behind him now, and remember, David has been extremely quick through this middle part of the lap, so he might be looking for an overtake into 8. No, he's a little too far back on that occasion, so he's going to hang back for the meantime. He's going to get a really good run, though, here through the carousel. Oh, you can see he starts to pick up that dirty air, though, mid-corner. Starts to wash out, give him that understeer. Gets back on the throttle at the exit of the corner, but unfortunately a little bit later getting on that throttle due to that dirty air effect coming off the car ahead, and Stepanovsky is going to be able to maintain that position. By the way, just up the road from this, it looks like Hermach is getting overtaken by Lucas Pechada. I think Lucas had to go around the outside there into the braking zone at turn 12, but does manage to get it done. So Lucas Pechada really on a charge right now, making quick work of Stepanovsky and Hermach. Up next is Danda, about 1.5 seconds up the road. Oh, and Lucas Pechada is on softs, as is Kadlacek, but Podstata is not. I've only just picked up on that. Sorry if I'm late to the party on that one. But that is very interesting. A difference of tire compound for the top 3 for their final stint isn't something that happens very often.
No, but I think it's a risk. I think that is a risk with how quickly the hards were burning out.
Yeah.
I think that is a risk for Lucas Pachada to be going for, but he's making it work. But how long can he make it work for? That is going to be the crucial thing. Those tyres are going to be like sponge by the end of even just 10 minutes. At the pace that he's pulling in and the heat of the track, as we now see Podstarter, big move on the inside line of David Pachada. So now Podstarter's arguing with the other Pachada brother. He's not going to have the inside line coming through turn 6, but David's like, denied. not having it. Absolutely great. So now Kadlec needs to get through these guys. He's on the softer tyres, as you were mentioning, Justin. He cannot afford to be stuck behind these guys arguing for their positions. Of course, David Pachada, he's on a different pit stop strategy to Podstarter. So, yeah, his tyres will be fairly warm by this stage. Not that he has to let him through. That is for position. So, you know, David Pachada does not have to jump out of the way or anything like that. But Kadlec does not need this. He needs to be getting past. He needs to make his softer tyres work. And at the moment, this is the last thing he needs. Oh, Podstarter, is he having a look on the inside line? He got it done. The fresher hard tyres have come to his aid. And that's going to put Kadlec with a face full of slower ERT now. So it's now going to be up to Kadlec to either banzai the inside of David Pachada or hope that David Pachada comes in.
There we go. Stefanko is in. Lucas Pachada is in as well, too. Let's see what this does. David Pachada is into the pits as well. I saw a car ahead of him. Stepanovsky. Danda also into the pits. Kashka also coming into the pits. So final pit stops now taking place. Peter Hermach continues on. He's now up into 4th position after dropping down outside of the points earlier in the race. Studnicka dropping back a little bit. He's since dropped down into 13th position, driving today for Lenovo Legion, but picking up a number of positions there in the pits. That's going to move him back up into the top 8. I've completely lost track of who has come into the pits and who hasn't, so I cannot remember if Studnicka has already been in a second time or if he needs to come in again, but we can see lots of soft tire runners. Lucas Pachada is on the softs now. Kadlec, Studnicka, Stefanko, Kashka, Svoboda, Danda, Stepanovsky, and David Pachada all going for the soft tires. So the likes of Pilo, Moritz, Hermach, Podstata, and Sirotek are definitely going to have to be keeping an eye on their mirrors, especially if you're one of those drivers that's already used all of your push-to-pass.
Yeah, very true. But of course, the guys now on the softs pitted a couple of laps later than Lucas Pachada did. They've got less than 10 minutes to run. Lucas has already been on those tyres for several minutes and several laps. So he's going to really struggle towards the tail end, but he may well have already built up a big enough gap to Podstarter and Kadlec. It is 6 seconds at the moment, amazingly. So he may well just build up, yeah, he may well just rely on that gap, just coast a little bit more towards the tail end. In comes Adam Pilo. Wow, that looked very late on the pit lane speed limiter to me. There is Podstarter and Kadlec again, arguing for what will become 4th position. Surely this is going to be a more straightforward move for the Entropic car. And I think Podstarter's resigned to that one. Still side by side. That's still going to be a little bit nervous coming into turn 1. Podstarter's not giving up on it though, so you're going to have to work for it, sunshine. Oh, it's still side by side now coming down through turn 1. Now who's going to buy? Yeah, Kadlec's enjoying this. There's even a slight bit of a smile from Podstarter. They're still side by side. The Entropic car cannot shake off the advantage of the Cavago car. And now the lighter downforce from Podstarter. As Lucas shaking his head, nope, you're not having it this time. My goodness me, Kadlec is going to have to do it all over again.
They were both smiling almost the entire time. I will admit, Kadlec more so than Podstata, but they were both smiling that whole time. And I tell you, that put a huge smile on my face as well, too, because there's nothing I love more than going wheel to wheel with someone that you can put your trust in, somebody who's similar speed, similar talent level. I mean, that's what it's all about in racing, not just in sim racing, in racing, you know, those moments. I mean, sure, it feels good to get pole and have a lights to flag victory and stuff like that, but what's even better is having a multi-corner battle with lots of respect like that, and it's doing nothing in their quest to try and catch up to Lucas Pachada. They're now more than 7 seconds adrift of the ERT racing car in the current championship leader. So yeah, at the moment it's not good for them, but again, it put a huge smile on their face. It put a huge smile on my face as well too. That's what it's all about. That's really what you love to see. But Lucas Pachada, I imagine, has a smile on his face as well too, but just for a different reason.
I didn't look it from that camera. He looked very forceful, very focused, and again, his t-shirt was almost matching his wall there. But here we go again. Kadlecik cannot close in on pod starters. There's those downforce differences again. So the softer tyres are doing Kadlecik no favours. He just cannot close in. And I just wonder whether the higher downforce setting was really the way to go. But even still, third is still a very, very strong result. There's Sirotek in the background. So third, fourth for Entropic. It's still a very good haul of points. Don't get me wrong, as that's Moritz in the second of the E-set cars, as Stefenko has just gained the fastest lap in his quest to try and essentially mitigate the damage. He's down in 7th. Now Lubomir Moritz. Can he get up further inside the top 10 ahead of Svoboda? Yeah, the Puma car didn't fancy that one. Just braked a little earlier. Tried to come back underneath, but we know that Puma car is a little bit lighter on downforce. 10th is still a respectable result for Miroslav Svoboda. That will be the second time, I think. Yes, second time this season he'll be with us inside the top 10 if it remained as such. I was admire a fellow VI user. Thank you very much, Lubomir Moritz. But Svoboda is still going to potentially be challenged by Peter Hermach in the background. There he is, the Carvago car. Speaking of Carvago, both Carvago cars are, well, I say both of them are a hassle. Peter Hermach's not got too much trouble at the moment, but Podstarter certainly does, keeping the ever-smiling Kadlecik behind.
Kadlecik is loving this. I don't think he cares if he gets second, honestly. I think he's just having a blast, having a play with the reigning champion. And Podstata, I'm not so sure is having as much fun, because just based on the amount of sweating that he's doing, it tells me that, well, of course, he is the one that's having to defend, and I would say that is the sweatier of the two jobs. Defending is not the one that I would prefer to do. I would prefer to be going on the attack, but great to see as we're into the final minutes of this race, and these two are absolutely loving it, and they're putting on a heck of a show for us.
Actually, so I don't remember seeing the McDonald's sign in the background of Kadlecik's screenshot last time. So again, loyal to the Entropic logo. Of course, they've got the McDonald's sign on the nose and on the wings, so fair play to them. Yeah, I just don't recall seeing it in the past. But Podstarter is doing everything he needs to do to keep Kadlecik behind. I think Kadlecik has lost the tyre advantage by this stage. He doesn't. Either that or the higher downforce is just not paying off for him. I think more a combination of the two factors. I think Podstarter's probably done enough now to keep Kadlecik behind. But one small mistake from the Carvago car is all it would need for those two to swap round. It is not done by any stretch of the imagination. 2 minutes to go, likely 2 more laps here at Road America. What a race it's been.
I mean, what a season it's been. I'm really bummed that it's coming to an end, because this, I think, has been my favorite season of VGP ever, which I sort of feel guilty about that, because I feel like I say that almost every season, if not every season, but this really has been the best. Just, again, the strength of the field. And what's really surprising, too, is if you look at the championship standings, you wouldn't necessarily think this is the best season ever of VGP, but I really do think that's just down to Stefenko, having other commitments, missing out on a race, stuff like that. I think it would be closer than almost any other season, if not for those sorts of things. But we would never, ever hold that against Stefenko. We love that he's out there racing in all kinds of series and getting his name out there and, making Czechia proud and doing... just being a great ambassador for VGP and Mercedes-Benz and for sim racing in general. So really great to see Svoboda here, now coming under attack from Peter Hermach, who again is on that recovery drive after falling off the track earlier at the very start of the race. He was down to, I think it was 16th position, and he's very nearly clawed his way back into the top 10, but he's going to have to get past the very, very quick in a straight line Svoboda. Again, that Puma car is so fast in a straight line. We saw him re-overtake Martin Stefenko and some other people as well, too. He is the king of the re-overtake so far here at Road America, so he's not going to make it easy for Hermach, and I don't don't know what kind of setup Hermach has either, or how much push to pass he has remaining, or any of that stuff. But I wonder if this is actually the final lap. I've just noticed the time ticking down, 21 seconds remaining as Lucas Pichota makes his way down towards turn 5. I think this is indeed going to be the final lap. Yep, no way he's getting to the finish line with 15 seconds remaining. And with an over 7-second gap, it is going to be a fairly comfortable victory for Lucas Pichota here at Road America. It was an eventful race. He didn't have it all his own way the entirety of the time. He had to fight for it. He had to really put in a lot of effort, but he has done it. Lucas Pichota wins another race in 2022, picking up the maximum number of points. We'll have to see when it comes to fastest lap, but he does pick up the maximum number of points in terms of finishing position. In the background, though, Podstata looks like he does actually have some push to pass remaining, and he's going to deploy a little bit of that to ensure that he stays ahead of Kadlacek right at the end. Sirotech in the other Entropic car, making it both cars in the top 5. Then it's Studnicka, another fantastic performance for a newcomer to the league, finishing in 5th position. Adam Pilo has been incredible ever since he came back. One of the best overtakers of the day, possibly the best overtaker of the day. Stefanko, difficult time with qualifying. Him and his teammate Moritz both scoring well, though, in the top 10. Kashka as well. Having a very eventful afternoon, but still getting it done. Hermach in the top 10 does finish ahead of Svoboda, who's ahead of Stepanovsky. Oh, David Pichota actually sneaking ahead of Stepanovsky right at the very end. And Lehman, having a really unfortunate day. Had a lot of pace. He was the leading driver on the alternate strategy, one of those cars that started on the primes or on the hard compounded tires. A little bit of drifting just to round things off, but he is going to pick up a couple of points for his efforts.
Well, there is the podium. It's Podstata back in the winning position. Pichota back in the winning position. Podstata right behind him, and Kadlacek rounding out the top 3 with Sirotech 4, Studnicka 5. Great effort for him in the Lenovo Legion car. Pilo 6, Stefanko 7th, Kashka 8th, Morris 9, and Peter Hermach rounding out the top 10. Adam Pilo for Makarov was keeping that fastest lap to himself. Svoboda 11th, David Pichota 12th, Stepanovsky 13, Lehman 14, Maritek 15, Danda 16, Horace 17th, and we lost Nadlik and Shimbera in the course of the race.
Yeah, unfortunate for those guys, but we continue on. Lucas Pichota in the championship is now 45 points ahead of Martin Stefanko, who is now 10 points ahead of Lucas Podstata, another 30 points down to Martin Sirotech, and then another 28 points down to David Pichota as well. We've got a few movements through the championship. Miroslav Svoboda moving ahead of Alish Danda thanks to his solid result in 11th place, and Kashka as well with his top 10 finish, moving up into 16th position. Lubomir Moritz making good use of the VR headset, moves himself up into 22nd position now on 14 points ahead of Stepanovsky. In the team's championship, Carvago moves ahead of Mecca Alfredsson after Lehman had a difficult day, and Podstata and Hermach both finished in the top 10. Meanwhile, Orlin Benzina moving up ahead of Big Shock, and Puma moving themselves out of 10th into 9th as well, with only 2 rounds remaining. That is going to do it for our coverage of Road America. Thanks to Chris Buxton for joining myself, Justin Sutton. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes and all of the drivers and everybody who tuned in from around the world. We'll see you next time for the penultimate round of the season. Bye-bye.